Well, welcome everyone. It is our July How We Align Our Thoughts with Our Purpose Q&A. And as always, we have these Q&As as an opportunity to introduce our special guests and help them show you how you can align your thoughts with your purpose and how it lives out in their life. And we open this up as a Q&A for business development, for leadership development, for all the different aspects that we can help you grow. It is a gift to each and every person, and we are thankful for that you chose this time. Feel free to share your information in chat so people get to know you. We do say this is a no-sell zone, even though we are so bad at just naturally weeding seeds into the opportunity. Yet, remember that we are here to help. We are here to help inspire, and we are here to connect people. So with no further ado, very excited to introduce our special guest. Mr. Cliff D'Angelo has a multitude of accolades besides standing on a multitude of Fortune 500 stages. He also is beyond amazing at storytelling and done quite a couple different so-called podcasts with me. Yet he also runs the Leadership Academy and gave me permission to knock on his door and help him use all his amazing skills and sales development, etc., and build the Leadership Academy. I'm gonna let him share more specifics on that and answer any questions. Cliff, is there anything you're dying to share right away before I dive into questions?
No, I'm just happy to be here. Looking forward to answering any questions you have about whatever it is. Doesn't even have to be the Leadership Academy.
Isn't that exciting? Well, you got a huge amount of feedback on your LinkedIn post in regards to that. A lot of our friends. So those of you that don't know their background, and Cliff, will you share just a quick overview of your journey so people can, and especially the journey with Kohler and Ferguson, et cetera, and then how you went into building your own coaching company to start there?
I started out in sales, basically three companies, a company called More Business Forms. They were the world's largest printing company, and worked into Western New York, the New England area for a number of years. And then from there, took a hop over to the plumbing industry and went to work for the Kohler Company. And with the Kohler Company, I had about 6 different jobs in 11 years or 12 years with the company, rising up to really the highest level of sales. My last assignment with them was to handle their largest customer, which is the largest distributor of plumbing products in the world, which is Ferguson Enterprises. So I handled Ferguson for Kohler. And then they wanted me to move again. And my family, I live in Orlando, Florida, so it's difficult to move a family after you've been in Orlando, Florida. They wanted me to move to Ferguson's headquarters to handle them. I turned that down, and I immediately went to work for Ferguson, the company that I was handling. And I did a bunch of different things for them. Again, having great success with all these companies, being able to be a top salesperson. I opened up one of their gracious living type showrooms, high-end appliances and lightings, and ran that. And did builder sales for them and handled Disney and a bunch of the other big customers that in Florida and Central Florida area. And then probably not the smartest move in the world. You'll find out not the brightest guy that you've ever met. During the Great Recession, 2008, I decided to open up my own company and leave corporate America. And I actually started by developing a very unique system that we ended up selling to the military. It was called a solar thermal desiccant dehumidification system. Don't ask me what it even did, but I sold it to the military. And they used it at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and Patrick Air Force Base to dry parachutes. I also became a lead AP at that time, and if you know what that is, I was qualified to work with building owners to certify their building as energy efficient. And I really dwelled deep into the energy efficiency side of the business at that time. That led to consulting with corporations on energy efficiency and energy efficient products. That led to coaching, which also came in from coaching sports. I was coaching sports at that particular time. That was football and girls lacrosse in high school. And that was where my true love finally hit. And I said, I want to do this. I love this. I love working with people. Became a habit finder, certified coach. And that's where I met April at a retreat. I had to find a retreat for coaches, and we had a lot of common interests. She was working in companies, I was working in companies, and that sort of put us together, which led to the formation of the Leadership Academy, which we started doing with the Big I of New York, which is the Independent Insurance Agency of New York State. I think they have 1,600 or 1,500.
1,700.
1,700
locations. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1,700 members of their association. And we've been doing that, what, this year, 3, I think?
We are going into the full 3 years and almost 4th. Mm-hmm.
And it's really been a cool program because it really was taking the I want to say the history of all the work history of both April and I, and sort of fashioning into real life. Hey, this is how you lead people today in today's world. And we started in what, COVID, territory. Certainly a world disrupting time to be in this business, but it rung a bell with people. It humanized leadership again, I think, and people starting to understand that you're not a machine when you're working for, especially a corporation. There are people, and they need certain things from their leaders to perform at a very high level, and nobody teaches that. They really don't. I mean, there's a million books on different things, but they don't really teach how to move people and to get them to want to be part of your team and to perform at a super high level. So it's been a blast. We haven't really changed much that we originally wrote. I mean, we've added some things, obviously, that people might have asked or liked, but it was sort of a weird thing that to be able to sit down and write that and watch it work like immediately. And people just raved about the reviews of this, and the comments were what we sort of hoped for, and that was, this isn't like anything I've ever seen before. As a matter of fact, when they started it, most of them go, what the heck is this that you guys are doing, But by the end of it, they get it. The lights start to go on, and they start actually using what we're teaching in them while the course is still running, because it's over 6 weeks. And they come back and they give us, hey, this worked. And we're not surprised, obviously, but they are very surprised. And it has been word of mouth now. They just tell and tell and tell. And in New York State, we've done, I think, 3 out of 4 of the largest independent insurance. These are large companies, 400 or 500 employees. So it's been a real win. Questions?
That is, we are going to ask you 2 more questions, and we open it up to the rest of the group, and I'll save some for to wrap up with. The second question, to align it with everybody, we had told them that we wanted to help them uncover what might be accurate for them and their leadership development, what roadblock they might be hitting, etc. And how, because you mentioned a couple of things. You hit a couple of roadblocks. I don't want to move my family, or I want a different lifestyle. I want a different experience. And so therefore, I'm just going to go create my own business. And then the other thing you mentioned that is possibly relative to everyone is the awareness that we had an opportunity to sit down, write, develop, and we were actually requested to do so when we brought another program that was successful. And then they said, no, we want something even more. And then we were requested to develop the program that we now own the rights to. Yet we have exclusivity with that insurance association, which is exciting. So on those couple of notes, how did you specifically, and how would you encourage others to get their thoughts around what purpose was available there and how little steps along the way caused that to happen?
Well, I think are you talking about for them to actually do this particular thing? Yeah. Gosh, you all know this. I don't have to tell you, it's frightening to go into business when you spent 30 years in corporate America. I mean, it's frightening. I mean, not to have a paycheck and to create your own, but it's also probably the most exciting and exhilarating thing, but jumping off was it hard? Of course. But when you realize that people want you to succeed, and that really for me, it was really counting on the relationships I had made for friends over the course of many, many years. I mean, I say this to people and it's hard for them to believe, but it's true. Of all the business for the last 15 years, I probably can draw a line to 2 friends of mine, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and one just happened to be a person that I worked with at the core company and mentored him. And then he became an executive in a large corporation and brought me in for my first coaching in corporate America. So I had an in, and I just started with the people that were working. He was a VP, started at his team, and then he spread that word through the larger corporation. Again, this company is 500 or so employees in Atlanta. And that really gave me my first start. And then the insurance agency was a gentleman that was in my fraternity in college. And he knew me and he knew what I was doing. And it's funny because he actually was only one of 2 people when I started my business that said, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm sure you've all had that happen when you start your business. Like, people come to you, go, "What? Why would you do that?" You know? And especially, I mean, I was very successful in corporate America. I was always promoted, and I was always breaking records with companies. And they're like, "Why would you leave the comfort of that to do this?" But I really felt it was a calling. And I know April has a calling that's similar, that people needed what I had. And it was my, my joy, what I was put here to do was to help people to achieve their goals like that. And
And
April says just a bunch of stories though.
you got plenty of stories, yes.
Tons of stories.
And which is always exciting. And the last question for me before I open it up is going back to that thought, and the Habit Finder is one of the tools we use to help people discover their thought patterns. How did you go about really getting narrowed in one thought at a time to align with that call?
Well, you mean the call to start the business, or yes? Okay. It just got to me as I watch people struggle. It still happens today. Unfortunately, this is what happens all the time in corporate America, right? You do well at your current job and they give you a leadership position. And they might send you to a leadership school. I think the longest leadership school I went to in corporate America was 2 weeks. But no practical training. It was just theory. It was no real world experience of what was going on. And a lot of people get no training. They figured that you were good at your job, you can lead people. They're 2 different jobs. They're completely different. And people are so complex and want to be led differently. Everybody does, right? And that really, to me, was the impetus to put the program together, to try to find material from my past experiences, from April's experiences, and say, okay, these are real life examples. Let's find the best of the best out there of how people will handle these situations. How can we teach them what's the very best way to put a team together, to unite the team, to individually make every person on your team feel seen, valued, and heard. You probably heard that from April before. We repeat it all the time. But in today's world, this is it. And once you connect as a leader with your team, they will run through walls for you. They will do everything to make sure that you're successful at your job. And if I'm successful or they're successful, I'm successful. There's no doubt about it. So did that explain it? I hope.
Beautifully said, Cliff, as always. There's a lot more there I can unpack, and yet I'm going to leave it open. I love the shirt, Mike, and recognize that. Brave graduate in the room. A few of you.
Don't walk on his chest. Don't.
That's an awesome answer, Cliff. Who wants to ask for the first question? And again, it can be, please do, Mike. Any question you like.
Cliff, what you said resonated, and maybe it resonated with April too, because I was talking last week, excuse me, about leaving corporate America. I spent 20 years with a big corporation, big. And I think when I left, they were at least 10, maybe $12 billion corporation. And there's not one person, and I'm not saying that cynically at all. There's not one person in there that I thought was a leader. And I had a gentleman named Pat who came to me and says, "Hey, is there any way I can talk you out of resigning or retiring?" And I said, "Well, I'm pretty much, I'm out." And he said, "Can I ask you a question?" Pat was never my direct manager, but he said, "What's the one thing that would have kept you here?" And I said, I pondered and I looked around and I was going, probably leadership. I mean, someone who could really challenge me. And I don't mean challenge me like you, Cliff. I was pretty successful in sales. Don't challenge me by upping my quota. I need to be stimulated. I need to be challenged. I need to be involved in all that. But so it was really good timing that you said that, because I concur. I don't know that that's true with all corporate America, but you'd think that a $10 billion corporation would have some sort of like leadership program where I would leave there going, "Man, I left." It was the complete opposite. It was rather disappointing. I learned more in 3 months of the Marine Corps boot camp than I did in 20 years in corporate America about leadership. My question for you, Cliff, is what do you miss about corporate America?
The steady paycheck, of course, benefits. Those are the only things that I miss about corporate America. I don't want to be negative about corporate America. I mean, believe me, I was very successful in corporate America. But I don't miss much of corporate America. The freedom of owning your own business. I'm here. Picture behind you is in my backyard of my house in New York. I'm here. I swim in that waterfall valley. In corporate America, I could never come here back and forth. Never. There's just no way to do that. And my jobs, I was flying all over the place. I mean, literally, I was flying every week. And that kind of sacrifice. Yeah, the money can be very good and the benefits and the security is, but when you trust yourself to be that security is when you really make the break into entrepreneur, to be entrepreneur. And I don't think people that become entrepreneurs can ever go back. Mm-hmm. It's not playing football. I play football. There's an adrenaline rush that you get playing football that you don't get ever again in life. It ends at your career peak, whatever that is, high school, college, pros. And you never can get that back again. In entrepreneurial, it's like that. Once you start a business and you do it, you want to do business again. You want to start more business.
Beautifully said. Who's next? Who's got the next question? Go ahead, Ron. I know you want to.
Everything's fair. Go for it.
Yes, everything is fair. Any question you want to ask?
Sure. What was the last 5 books you read?
Great question, Ron.
It is. And you know what? Sorry about this, but dementia is setting into me. But I do listen to, I don't read books anymore. I don't have time. So I use Audible.
That
so
counts.
I'm constantly listening to books, like constantly. And I do pull that into the courses. You know what I mean? Pull that information. If I find things that work, and I insert them in, and then we put a spin on it somehow, right? So probably every leadership book, all of John Gordon's book, he's fun and sort of fun reading, down to some more even philosophy books, little Stoic stuff that's sort of fun to get into, that I'll listen to. It's a pretty broad range but it's all leadership, business development, whatever it is that you're going, it's all pointed to help me get better at what I do.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, I have read Slim.
Yes, he's read it. He was one of our editors inputs from the beginning. Thank you, Cliff. And we just added a book to, so we are huge fans of integrating Simon Sinek. We integrate quite a few different individuals out. And I just added a book to his list called Unreasonable Hospitality. If you've not listened to that yet, really powerful book. So Nikki, you want to go next? Do you have a question?
I'm just listening. I'm just kind of a fly on the wall.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No
Think of-
worries.
Think of this, if I can, and I'm trying to see the benefits of you stepping out and doing this, teaching people this. There's such a need for it. There's an incredible need for it because, again, it's just not happening in corporate America. It just isn't happening. What they teach is they teach management. In management, people don't really love to be managed, to be honest with you. And the newer generation, you're all newer generation than me. I'm the old person here, I promise you that. But they hate it. They literally hate it. And through coaching high school sports has really helped me for 18 years because I've seen the change in how I have to coach them. I had to totally reinvent my coaching style from when I started to where I am today with coaching. It's definitely more collaborative and trying to get to see the benefits of doing this. When I started, my God, the coach was God. Just do what I say. If you don't, I don't care. Your whole team would walk out if you coach like that. They weren't brought up that way.
Cliff, you did two awesome things. I'm going to plant a seed right after this call. We are going to do an interest session on expanding our team for the Leadership Academy for interest and help and awareness of what is the need. Because statistically, most companies think their company is engaged and fully involved, and the engagement is under 20% now. Under 20% of companies have engagement from their teams. So big deal. Anyone, and the other thing to plant the seed is Cliff likes to say regularly, of many things that he shares, is command and control is no longer the option. No longer the option. So we work to inspire and be purposeful. A recent reminder is having empathy and authority is valuable. And Cliff, the quote you said of having faith and trust in yourself is such a key piece. Beautifully said. Anyone else want to add any questions or thoughts before we wrap up? Open it up. Okay. The exciting thing, I have one last question for you, Cliff. We'll give everybody a wrap up of the day. If there was any other seed you would add about being purposeful with aligning your thoughts with your purpose, is there anything that you would have liked to have been told, taught, experienced 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
Ooh, boy, am I a different man than I was 20, 30 years ago. I was your typical cocky, high-flying sales guy. I mean, I was it. And I really mellowed out. In really now, I take a much deeper approach. I mean, I still sell. Obviously, you have to sell a business the way it is, but I think now it's this. I feel very confident in my ability to be able to help people, and I feel that I'm aligned with my purpose, April, like you are. And once you get that spot, I tell people this all the time, and I think it's true of everybody that I've talked to. Somehow the universe makes it happen for you. So if you are really, hey, I want to really help people, and I really want them, I want to help them to become better leaders or better at what they do, somehow it's going to open up. And hopefully this is part of what opens up for you, because you don't have to write it. It's all done, and it's proven it works. So you just got to sort of master how you're going to work your life into the stories that we tell. Because you can't tell them my life stories. I mean, you could. I mean, I tell stories from books that I read all the time, right? But it's what we always say, and I'll leave it with this: leadership from the heart, right? I mean, it's got to come from a place that they know that it's you.
Yeah, it's got to be authentic and genuine. And Cliff, you are a leading example of that. One of the blessings that you were open to, and how we started our project partnership is the opportunity of knowing that we both knew we had a need to fill. And we both knew that one of the things we've learned immensely is that doing it together helps us use our giftings and support each other in a way that is powerful for the group that we get to serve. And it's powerful to tag team with you. Thank you for taking the time to be our special guest today. Thank you everyone for joining us. And those that want to stay on, we're going to end the recording now.